Hi everyone, I'm Charmaine Mabano, and this is Henry, and today we'll be reporting the question concerning technology by Martin Heidegger. We're supposed to report this with L, actually, but unfortunately he's sick right now, so you're stuck with me. Okay, so just a note before I delve in. Um, this presentation is modeled to follow the handout that we've written. So feel free to follow along, like reading it as I yap about it here. Yeah. So without further ado, an introduction. This is written by German philosopher Martin Heidegger, who is considered to be one of the most influential philosophers of the 20th century. So, he talks a lot about human existence. He's very existential in that sense. And this specific essay, the question concerning technology, explores human existence and its relationship with technology. Later, you will see that it's a critique of not only technology but like modernity, and it challenges like our current conventional perspectives on it. Um, and with the handout as well as this presentation, we want to give the same, what is it called? The same kind of disclaimer that's given with a lot of Heidegger's books, which is that we need to view the work as a whole as well as a journey through his way of thinking, his reasoning, because it is a questioning. Therefore, we can't just memorize things as like a laundry list of concepts per se. So that's how we're going to structure this conversation. Uh, so yeah, just follow along. So starting off on what the goal even is for this essay. Why are we questioning technology, right? So Heidegger believes that we are chained to technology, whether we agree or not, whether we know it or not, we are not free from technology, and he wants humanity to arrive at that free relationship with technology, which can only happen if we question it, right? If we start thinking about whether or not the way we're interacting with technology, the way we're thinking about it currently is um, the truth, right? I'm hesitant to say the correct way because like later on he delves into the difference between correct and true. So yeah, we're trying to answer what constitutes a free relationship and what makes our current one not free. And then we want to arrive at that free relationship through questioning. So essence is one of the first um, concepts that Heidegger really gets into, and it's very important for this essay. So, in German, this is called Wesen, which is more directly translated as enduring as presence, but we call it essence. So, he makes two observations. One is that the essence of technology is not technology. So, he draws on the example of, for example, if you look at trees, right? Like, what is the essence of a tree? It's certainly not a tree. Like, a tree is not the thing that sort of constitutes all trees, right? So, the essence of technology cannot be anything technological. And the second observation is that technology is not neutral, which is kind of um, an odd jump, right? When we think about how we currently see technology, which is as a double-edged sword, right? Like it can be good or bad depending on which hands it is in. But Heidegger later goes on to show that technology is not neutral because of its essence. But before we get too deep into like what essence actually means, to the layman, it just means like what a thing is, right? So we ask, what is technology? And the two most common answers is what he calls instrumental and anthropological um, definitions. So first is that technology is a means to an end, and second, that it's a human activity. Now, these are the most common answers, but does Heidegger think these are the correct answers? And the answer is yes. Heidegger does not argue that technology is a means to an end, because like even if you look from the windmills of the old times to like a simple saw to rocket ships, everything is a means to an end. So that certainly seems like it checks out. But Heidegger thinks that we're missing something by not digging deeper simply because we've gotten to a point of correctness. So he's saying that the essence of technology is something deeper than just the correct definition of it. He says the merely correct is not the true. And so, in order to reach the true, we must continue our questioning. But at least now, when we know a correct definition, we have a starting point, right? So, this is what Heidegger means by seeking the truth by means of the correct. We start at the instrumental definition and work our way down to its essence. So, how he does this is he first looks at the definition, means to an end, and then he thinks like, well, what is present in all instrumentality, in all means to an end? And he says, well, if there's a means and there's an end, then that means there's a causation there somewhere. So the next place we should look into is causality. And what happens in this part of the essay is he goes on a tangent um, about Aristotle's four causes, which a lot of us are familiar of. There's material cause, formal cause. Um, what's the other thing? Wait, sorry. Let me look it up. Let me see. This is in the handout. Yeah, okay. Material cause, formal cause, final cause, and efficient cause. And then he says na we accept these as true because this is how it's been for such a long time. But like, let's just think now, what if it's not, right? Like, why are there only four questions and what does cause even mean? And here we see a pattern to this essay and really a pattern to Heidegger, which is we look at the current accepted definition of a concept that Heidegger takes and then we question it. So he goes on to ask, like, what do the Greeks even mean by the causes being responsible, and how are things indebted to their causes? And here he comes along with a new word for a concept, right? He says that the thing that binds together the four causes, like why they're all causes of the same thing, is that they all bring about a thing into presence, right? Like if you create a silver chalice, at first there is no silver chalice and then there is silver chalice. And those four causes are the reasons why it's brought about from no silver chalice to present silver chalice. So he calls this bringing forth, he calls it poesis, right? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah, he calls it poesis. Okay, yeah, he calls it poesis. And here in this part, there is a quote that sort of summarizes what Heidegger thinks is the essence of technology. He says, technology is therefore no mere means, it is a way of revealing. So, like, technology as mere means is correct, but it's not the true. The the essence of technology is that it's a way of revealing. Like, we reveal a silver chalice from the materials that we have, right? So here there is the concept of poesis and technique. So poesis is a mode of revealing. It is a creative act that goes beyond production, while technique is craftsmanship, a skillful, intentional, and reflective mode of making. So, for example, a potter creating a bowl from clay, and then there's that connectedness, right? There's this connection to the work that he's doing, and that is what technique is. And then up until this point, the examples that Heidegger is giving are um, from the olden times, like things that are wooden and very crafty, artsman, like artisanship. But then he poses the question of, does this essence pervade modern technology? Like, do we still see technique in modern technology? And Heidegger says, no, we do not. Because in modern technology, like if you look around us at how industries work now, at how agriculture has become an industry, and how everything is factories, and like we're all separated from the modes of production, he's saying that in modern technology, this sense of craftsmanship, this connectedness with our materials is gone. And so the essence of modern technology is separate from poesis, right? And this um, leads him to a term he uses to describe like how we see the world within the framework of modern technology. He calls it the standing reserve. So the standing reserve is this idea that, for example, I am a human, right? And then I look around me at nature, and then I see waterfalls and um, sun and wind. And instead of just seeing those as nature as beautiful for what it is, I see it as like things to be harnessed for energy, right? Like for solar power and for wind. And it's not just nature, it becomes everything. Everything is a part of this reserve, the standing reserve that's just waiting, that is just there, waiting for us to harness it into something more productive. Because he says that in modern technology, we see everything as in terms of its utility, in terms of material to commodity. And the danger in this is something that he's going to talk about more later on. So that's what the standing reserve is. And that leads us, right? Like, remember I told you that for Heidegger, there's a difference now in the essence of previous technology to modern technology. Because modern technology, the essence of it, he calls enframing or gestel. So, as I said, this is still a mode of revealing. Like, we're still creating something and revealing something from the materials, but it is devoid of technique. It's devoid of that connectedness with nature. It's very much mechanical. And so this leads to a dangerous path of understanding the world merely in terms of efficiency and utility. And we can see how, if that's how we see nature, that's how we see animals, then it's just a natural progression of later on seeing other people and even ourselves as part of the standing reserve, right? Like big companies, how they have an entire team called human resources because people are now just part of the reserve that's going to create us the commodity and going to make us money. And Heidegger is saying here that Gestel, this essence of modern technology, is something that shapes us in a way that we can no longer call technology neutral, right? Like how we've been doing all along. Because it's not just that we as humans shape technology, but how technology persists right now shapes how we see the world, is what Heidegger is saying and framing. It reveals to us basically that the world is a standing reserve. And Heidegger says this is a very dangerous path to lead on. Okay, so just a review on like the definitions of essence for Heidegger. So the layman would say two terms, like two definitions. First, a means and end, and second, the human activity. And Heidegger says that these are correct, but he says that the true essence of um, the true essence of technology is that it is a mode of revealing. And under that, there are two. There's poesis and gestel. Because the mode of revealing of the olden times is very much so different than the mode of revealing for today. Because today is a lot more cutthroat. It's a lot more just mechanical and in a sense devoid of humanity. It's removed from our connectedness with nature, is what he's saying. There's this quote that he really pushes for in the essay, which went something like, the closer you are to danger, the closer you are to a saving power. Not verbatim, but something like that. And what he was implying was that even though in framing, the way that it shapes how we think about the world, how we see technology, even though that leads us to a very dangerous path, it's also the saving grace we have, right? He's saying that we need to understand in framing, we need to understand our relationship with technology and so the essence of technology and reflect upon it in order to overcome the issues that come along with it. In no way is Heidegger trying to say, oh, technology is evil, we should all just like freaking hide away and go back to Stone Age or whatever. That's not what Heidegger is saying. He's just saying that we have to be cautious of like how we're looking at it, and we have to be cautious of merely becoming means ourselves, right? Our relationship with technology needs to be more thoughtful, intentional, and reflective to avoid those pitfalls. It's important to note that Heidegger doesn't give like a step-by-step process of how we're supposed to fix our relationship with technology. Instead, he just sort of gives a call to action on that path back to poesis, a relationship with technology that's a lot more natural than what we have right now. Yeah. So that leads us to talking about the full view. So as I said, I hope we delivered Heidegger's message in the sense that the essay is a questioning and therefore must be seen as a process, a step-by-step process to how he gets to the conclusions that he has. So that's important to note. He starts off very solidly with what we think we know about technology and builds his stance up from there. So at the full, the questions concerning technology is a critique not only to how we perceive technology but modernity as a whole. He's saying that we should be challenging our preconceived notions of how we understand the workings and uh, of technology that we've created and manipulated, and how much it's actually manipulating us in turn, whether we deny it or not, right? Because there are some people that just will not accept the idea that they're being governed by technology. But the more we deny this, the farther we are, like the farther we get from like changing it, right? So Heidegger is calling us to question first our ideas about technology and to understand the essence of it, because only then will we get to the free relationship that Heidegger was talking about. So yeah, I hope you guys learned something from that. If you have any questions, just ask us. And the reading itself was um I mean, I think it was just where our heads were at the moment, but it was a pretty hard read. But like the words themselves weren't actually that hard. It was just the pacing and the framing of it. But it's only 36 pages and it's very interesting. If you don't want to read the reading itself, then you can watch a video on Heidegger. Yeah, he has very interesting thoughts about technology. Go, guys. Goodbye. And this is Henry again. Say bye. Bye, Henry.